So we're looking at the fight against corruption. How effective has it been? We've been hearing court cases. ICPC talked about 100 cases in court. The EFCC has been going back and forth, going into court and out of court. Some people have been granted bail. Yesterday was the former National Security Advisor. Before then, it was the former DG of NIMASA, and then he was rearrested.
A whole lot of people.
Back and forth, all in court. So how effective would we say this fight has been? Is it going to bear the desired fruit? That is it. Would this fight...
Or is it just going to be, okay, maybe taken to court?
Well, okay. Let's see how this will work out. But we have some people in the studio to help us discuss this. We're expecting... He's stuck in traffic. We're expecting Professor Bolaji Owasanoye. I hope I got that well. Yeah, man, I need help here.
Owasanoye.
Owasanoye. We're expecting Professor Bolaji Owasanoye, who is the Executive Secretary of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption. He's on his way. He's stuck in traffic around Berger. Laolu Akonde, Senior Special Assistant, Media and Publicity to the Vice President, joins us from our Abuja studios. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, and here in the studio in Lagos, we have Dr. Chima Nnaji, Public Affairs Analyst and Legal Practitioner. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and good morning, viewers.
We're also expecting Olaiwaju Suraj, who is an anti-corruption activist. Well, we'll hope to have a good conversation. When they come in, they will join us. So let's begin with Mr. Akonde.
Yes.
How would you assess the anti-corruption wars so far?
Well, thank you for having me on the program. I think that we are on to a very good start. You will recollect that very clearly. One of the reasons why the Nigerian people voted for President Buhari is to fight corruption. Corruption was one of the major issues that drove the campaign. And the president recognizes this very clearly. He's made this very point in his speech last week at the important lecture that he gave at the...
Mr. Akonde, if you can hear me, I think we might just have to take a moment and come back to you. Let's hear from Dr. Nnaji so that they can sort out some issues that we're having, technical issues there. We'll come back to you in our Abuja studios. Okay, so Dr. Nnaji, while we wait to get back to Mr. Akonde, you have been out there in the public. You also a legal practitioner, so you know what goes on in the courts. Now, hearing the ICPC say they have 100 corruption cases in court, and you've been seeing and hearing about the EFCC going back and forth and the bail applications that have been going on here and there, how would you say this fight is going?
Well, I think that corruption cases are trending. I think that's the way to put it. And we say we are fighting corruption. You have raised the issue of where it will lead us to. And that is exactly my fear. Because there's what we call jactitation. You may not be drinking the tea, but the cup of tea is in your hand and you put it in your mouth, but you don't have really some sip. So 2 hours down the line, the tea remains there, perhaps getting cold. That's my problem with this. And the system will be more shortchanged and corruption get more enamored, and we will be the worse for it. Let me perhaps put things more succinctly. I do not believe that you can confront or fight any social problem. You will solve it, but it is not by saying you are fighting it or confronting it. When the fire people say they are fighting fire, there is a technology behind the medium which they use in fighting. That technology are agents of denudation. They don't confront the fire. They remove the elements of the fire and render fire comatose. Let me give you a quick example. When you say CO2 is a firefighting equipment, CO2 is known chemically to be denser than ordinary air. So it blankets the fire and cools the heated object that is the source of the fire.
Seeing that oxygen is what fuels the fire.
Yes, it removes the oxygen in the fire. When you talk about water, water reduces, that's why the various fire extinguishers are used for different classes of fire. The technology behind it denudes the fire. It does not fight it. But because of better use of word, we say it is fighting. So you don't confront things like that. Social problems are never, because of the capacity they have in multiplying and mutating. And that's why it has not been possible all the years we claim we are fighting armed robbery, to stamp it out.
Dr. Naji, as you're talking, and your analogy that you use, that you have a cup of coffee in your hand,
you see,
and
you
are not
to be
sipping it.
Yes.
Why would that be? Why would you
No
say?
administration in this country has said it does not want to fight corruption. They have always been fighting corruption. But there is no technology, there is no thinking behind the process. It's all drama. It's all drama. Okay. And people are clapping. At the end of the day, 2 years down the line, the same people are back in government.
Okay, let's see if we can get Mr. Akande to weigh in on this. Mr. Akande, Mr. Naji has described it as a social problem. And he feels there is no thinking behind this fight against this social problem, and you don't fight it. Do you agree with him?
Scientific.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Amadi must not be following events very closely. Only recently, the president, as I was saying before, gave a very important lecture at the Anyam Osigwe Foundation, very recently. And he outlined very clearly a very bold, a very courageous, and a very moral plan to fight corruption. Now, we have to fight corruption. Now, let's make no mistake about it, because it is a question of moral authority. And for the first time in a long time, we have a leadership that Nigerians believe is very sincere. Now, so you can't compare the leadership that we have now in the presidency with what we've had and what was said in the past. There is a synergy, there is credibility. People believe the president. He was elected because of his integrity and his personal discipline. And he's showing very clearly that he's going to fight corruption, and the process is on. So talking about the fact that, this has been said over time, government have been fighting corruption, the difference in this instance is that Nigerians trust President Buhari, that he says what he means and he does what he says. And if you look at the way that he has been very meticulous and very careful about it, he did not rush into it. Facts were gathered, he took his time, and is following the rule of law very, very deliberately. So if we look clearly at what is happening, I think we must consider the fact that we have a leader this time around who is committed to restoring the moral authority in our society, which is what corruption has.
There are those who argue with you that is it all about the leader? Is it just about having the leader who is committed that this social menace can be taken care of once and for all?
Oh, no, it goes beyond that. But that is clearly the place to start. Now, like the president said in his Anyam Osigwe lecture recently, Nigerians also have to make quite a number of changes. We have to change our mindset. We have to change our attitude. We have to change our conduct. And this is a war, a fight that we involve everybody. But if the leadership does not get it right, if the people cannot even trust the leader, then there is no way forward. The point I'm making is that we have a leader that Nigerians trust, who will do the right thing, who is himself, who has a lot of personal credibility. And so put together with Nigeria's readiness to fight this war, we can give corruption a mortal blow in this country for the first time in a long time.
We'll come back. While we wait for Professor Owasunoye to join us in the studio, we have him on the phone so that he could weigh in on this matter. He's Executive Secretary of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption. Thank you for joining us, Professor Owasunoye.